the Recovery Daily podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Miller. I'm a stroke survivor and grateful recovering alcoholic. Today's topic is building your habits in good times. And I wanted to talk about habits because I have a habit that I want to build. So we're going to do it together, live action. So when I entered sobriety, other recovering alcoholics who'd been in the program longer than me had been giving me suggestions that were encouraging me to right away start building habits. And those were things like picking up the phone, even when nothing's wrong, even when I don't have anything to say. Pick up the phone and call my sponsor or call somebody else in the program. Go to meetings, even if I don't feel like it, just go to a meeting. Like, this is the time that you go. You always go on Saturdays at 10 a.m. So it was like it was a goal, it was something that I had on my calendar, and whether I wanted to do it or not, I had to do it. And over time, I was calling it the next right thing, and I've talked about that, just getting up off the couch and going, whether I want to or not. And over time, it became automatic. I just went. I no longer felt like I needed to decide whether I wanted to or not. It was just getting up, and that's what I do. That's what I do on Saturdays. I had to go. So, and praying. Now, praying did not come easy for me. And I did end up, and this has taken several years for me to actually work some sort of uh, prayer habit into my life. Um, so they told me to do these things even when I felt good, so that when I was struggling, which inevitably we all struggle, I would have the muscle memory to, for example, pick up the phone and talk to my sponsor instead of going to the store and getting, a bottle of wine or something and trying to drink away my problems. Also, going to a meeting and sharing when I had things that I needed to get off my mind, and using my God box. And like I said, praying and reading the literature. I actually made a habit in the beginning of my sobriety, and it was just like a self directed habit that I built for myself, that was to read out of some sort of literature, um, for that was encouraging my sobriety, for 20 minutes a day. That was my requirement that I gave to myself. And since I had a really long commute, I actually would listen to the literature on Audible in the car. So I usually did much more than 20 minutes. And being of service to others. So trying to always look outward instead of inward to see where I may be able to be helpful to somebody else. It doesn't matter whether they were in or out of the program, but I'm walking into the store and I see somebody walking their cart back to the grocery store, offer to take the cart back for them, that kind of thing. Um, it it helped me to practice not being so selfish, because that's what I that's what I was, and I hope that I'm not as selfish as I used to be, but I'm sure I still have selfish tendencies. Um, so over the years of practicing the steps, the more I look back at the day before I go to bed and evaluate where I may have been angry, afraid, and selfish, I began to actually think of my role in things throughout the day, and know, kind of be more cognizant of what's going on before I get angry, afraid, or selfish. And it helps to relieve any possibility that you may owe somebody an apology or some sort, the next day or down the road. So what I was doing all along was building habits. That's what the folks in my program told me I needed to do. But I was so miserable at the time that I really didn't even know what I was doing. And that's why it's so important to listen to the people who have been in the program for a long time and just take suggestions. That was, the difference between me staying sober and going back out and drinking again was the second time I went into detox. I've said this before. I made a decision that I was going to take all suggestions. I was not going to choose anymore what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do because I was that desperate. Um, there was no there were no excuses anymore for not doing every suggestion that was given to me. And I'm glad that I did, because that is how I started to build habits without even knowing that that's what I was doing. So, over the past several months, I've been talking about how I use my sobriety program as a guide to help me maintain a healthy mindset and to practice self care while I figure out how to live with this vision impairment. And I feel, I'm doing my best. I'm not beating myself up. I'm doing my best. But there are times that I feel like I could be doing better at this, at creating habits for this new, improved Rachel version 3.0, as my friend called me the other day. So, I wanted to talk about the neurological aspect of building a habit. Um, I I don't think I've been talking enough lately about my brain. And so my brain might be feeling a little abandoned. And the whole reason I'm doing this podcast is because the poor little guy had a stroke. And I don't know. I guess my brain is a he. I suppose I can do that now with the whole pronoun thing going on these days. So anyway, habits are based on the same neuroplasticity concept that I've talked about in the past, uh, that is the focus for when you're doing therapy. When I'm doing the vision therapy, for example. It also is the same thing that I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. If I was, what? I wouldn't be doing a podcast. But I think all of the different kinds of therapy that people do, speech therapy, physical therapy, and all of these things to recover from a stroke, it's all based on neuroplasticity and um, doing exercises repeatedly. So, like, my vision therapy was doing the same movements with my eyes, changing my focus of my eyes from near to far, and looking around slowly at different things in a controlled way until my brain relearns how to communicate with my eyes. There's some sort of lack of communication going there. So I've mentioned that I'm not working with the vision therapist right now. I'm working with my neurologist on pain management before I re-engage in vision therapy, if I do re-engage in vision therapy. It just wasn't going anywhere. I was in too much pain to really address therapy. So we're still working on that. I just gave myself um, my migraine injection yesterday. I think it was yesterday. So we'll see what's going to go on with that. But anyway, this repetition is intentionally rewiring my brain. And that's how new habits are built too. There are some habits that we build, of course, without even thinking about it. Some are good, like getting to smooch my boyfriend before I go to bed. And some are bad, like grabbing a bag of chips whenever I sit down to watch TV or something like that. Of course, I don't watch TV anymore, but when I did watch TV, I would love a bag of Doritos. And other habits are things that are just irritating, like biting my nails or cracking my knuckles. I have a horrible habit of cracking my knuckles. I've been doing it since I was in like elementary school. Um, so these habits are built by doing them over and over again. And a lot of these are subconscious. So the next thing you've gained 10 pounds of Dorito weight. Your nails are bleeding nubs and your knuckles are sore. And that's when we approach that battle of breaking a habit. And so why do we build the bad habits? Because our brain has been rewarded in some way from doing that action. And so I'm associating satisfaction with the action. So I was thinking about this when I was taking my notes down. Um, I think cracking my knuckles is some sort of I don't know, stress reliever or something. I don't know what it is, but I almost feel the same sensation as I don't know. I can't even compare it to anything, but I do it all the time and I don't know if it bugs my boyfriend. He doesn't say anything, but anyway, but I wonder like biting your nails, how is there satisfaction associated with that? Maybe it's just keeping busy, like doing something with your hands, or I'm not quite sure. I didn't look that far into the habit of biting your nails, but so habits are then filed away in a part of the brain that handles subconscious stuff. And that's why they're so hard to break because we're doing them without even really noticing. Sometimes not noticing at all that we do it, and somebody has to tell us. And if they were filed in a place where we make conscious decisions, then it would be much more easily broken. So this is interesting. To build a habit, we have to start with a prompt. Um, that's that is that something needs to trigger the habit. For example, if I didn't associate bedtime with brushing my teeth, it's doubtful that I would remember to do it. There are even times that I come upstairs, like I have my cup of coffee in the morning, And then I come upstairs to, I don't know, do something. And I will think, oh, well, I'm not done with my cup of coffee. I'll brush my teeth when I'm done with my cup of coffee. And then that was my opportunity to remember to brush. That was my prompt. That was the cue for me to brush my teeth. Whatever I was doing, it might have been brushing my hair, I think. I it's so subconscious, I don't even remember what it is that I do that cues me to brush my teeth in the morning. But whatever it is, I missed the cue. And those are times that I'm like, I find myself out like at the grocery store or something. I'm like, oh, did I did I brush my teeth today? And I know you've done it. I don't care who you are. I know you've done it. So, bedtime has been a core time for me to add habits, but I have so many. I've joked about it on some of the episodes. I have so many habits before bed now that I've had to move up my bedtime. I do so many things. I have my, of course, the normal things: washing my face, taking my medication, brushing my teeth. But then I've also got my push ups and my back stretches. And I've also added a little bit of weightlifting. I know that that's weird, but I like to do it right before bed. I've read about that it's not good to do it right before bed, but I don't do a lot. It's just kind of like I do 10 curls, I do 10 push-ups, and I do 10 what is that called? The back part of my arm thing, triceps. I do that. So I don't know. I like it, and it's fine. I can still go to sleep and all that good stuff. But I also read my prayers. I do my gratefuls. I get on my knees and do my prayer. Like, I have so many habits that I've added. So I'm going to start a new habit today. Tonight, well, I'm going to talk about it today. It's nighttime, so I'm going to start the habit tomorrow. But the first thing I'm going to need is a prompt. And if I'm going to start a habit, I would encourage you to think about something you want to start. And I'm always doing this. I'm always pulling people along to start something with me. And the people that I've worked with at my last job, we would do things like start a 30-day plank challenge and stuff like that. Anyway, so we're going to start a habit, and you should start one too. So, the habit that I want to start is doing yoga every day. So, something about me is that I don't do things halfway. And I know that this is not encouraged, that if somebody were to start yoga, that you would be like, okay, I'm going to do it twice a week. Well, I don't know. I used to do yoga every day. There are different types of yoga. I don't have to do the power flow every day. I could do more of like a yen, I think it's called. I don't know. The more of the stretching yoga. So anyway, my habit is to start yoga every day. And this will help me with several things. I've been developing some back pain, and I think it's because I haven't been going on my walks because of my vision. So just I'm having a lack of activity, and I feel like I'm feeling it in my back. So even as much as I'm doing my push-ups and my arm strengthening stuff, I think my core is getting weaker. And so that's where yoga is going to come in. So, my prompt for yoga is going to be that I'm going to set an 11 a.m. reminder on my phone, and I'm going to set it now. Like I said, live action. So let's do it right now. Set daily reminder for 11 a.m.
What do you want to be reminded about?
Yoga.
Okay, I've added it.
All right, so there we have it. We've added a daily reminder for yoga. And so now, what about my response to the yoga reminder? Like that's where you know you're on your own and it's a daily thing. If it is a habit that you want to build that's daily, you're still going to be faced with having to do the next right thing. You know, you have to do the response to the prompt. So, this is the magic of what I call turning off my wanter. And it's just that my long term goal, which is I want to do yoga, I want to have a habit of doing yoga, overrides my short term wanter. So I have to do it anyway. When I hear my alarm, my yoga alarm every day, then I have to switch into next right thing mode. I just have to have that mentality and do it. So then the last part of the habit building process is the reward. So we have to correlate the action of our habit, in my case, yoga, we have to correlate it to satisfaction. So I have to be mindful how the yoga makes me feel. And I've talked about this in previous episodes this week about, you know, remembering when something feels good and spending more time thinking about positive things, thinking about something that felt good, you know? So, what I need to do is when I'm done doing my yoga, don't just roll up the mat and go about my day, which often that's what I do because my dogs need to go out, you know, I need to run down and do. So the reason why I picked 11 o'clock is because for a long time I was doing yoga at 4 o'clock and my dogs eat at 5 o'clock. So it is terribly aggravating to have them sitting beside my mat and they're just inching their way closer and closer to the mat and wagging their tails like, come on, mom, come on. Are you done? Are you done? It's time to eat. It's time to eat, you know, beside the yoga mat. So we're going to try a different time of day. And 11 o'clock is a good time where they're usually sunning in the window that comes in the room from the sun. So what I need to do is take the time when I'm done with yoga to relish in the sensations that I feel after yoga. And I'll tell you, I can tell you right now, when I do yoga, you know, there are certain parts I can't stand, but there are more parts that I enjoy that feel so good on my back. And I'm talking about power yoga. So I used to do hot yoga. Um, my house is nice and comfortable, so I don't do hot yoga. I don't go to a studio to do it anymore. But I still feel these incredible feelings of like stretching my back out. It's just yoga has been the one thing in my life that has really managed my back pain. I've spent my whole life with back pain since I was little. And no, I don't have uh, I can't think of what it's called, with a crooked spine. I don't have that. But I have some sort of twist or something in my spine, which is a little different. And I've tried all kinds of things. I've had exercises that doctors have given me over the years, and this was before yoga was even a big deal. But yoga really is so great for my back. So, before I go to bed, if you remember from my other episode this week as well, I'm going to review my day like I normally do, but I'm going to take some time to remember how good the yoga made me feel. Because again, we want to spend the time right after whatever it is that made us feel good thinking about it a little longer instead of just, okay, that was great, and moving on with our day. But taking some time to really sit in the positive. And then before bed, think again about how did it make me feel? And then every chance I get, I'm supposed to talk about it and write about it. So I'm selfishly doing this episode because I'm putting it out into the universe that I'm going to be doing this new habit. I'm going to make a new habit. Now I'm accountable. I've got the whole world is making me accountable for my yoga. So I need to, by doing all of these things after just doing the yoga, the habit that I want to build is the yoga, but I have to really work in that mindset, and make that connection with my brain from yoga to how it makes me feel. What is the reward? It makes me feel relaxed, strengthened, accomplished. And I need to merge the action with the reward. And then all I got to do is repeat it. So it's a little bit of obsessing, which I'm really good at, as you know, but um, repeating the action, continuing to reinforce the connection of that action to the reward, and that will strengthen the neural pathway, and you will, voila, have a habit. And so I looked up how long does it take to how many times do you have to do something before it becomes a habit? And the internet, Sir Internet, has all different kinds of answers. It seems like most people say 21 days, uh, but I saw, depending on who you are and what the habit is, it can range from anywhere between 18 days to 254 days. I'm like, what? Anyway, and one site said 66 days. So who knows? Does it really matter? Because honestly, if I'm making the decision that I'm going to start building the habit, then isn't the habit becoming a habit at day one? Huh. Not really. But anyway, okay. So that's what I'm doing. I have my yoga reminder set for 11 a.m. tomorrow. And that's what we're doing. So hopefully you will start a habit as well and report back on how that's going for you. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you tomorrow.